Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the December 2020 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us remotely via WebEx. I hope everyone is staying safe and is healthy today. With me today virtually are my fellow board members, Amanda Bogner, Mike Kavanaugh, Tim Gay, Ann McGuire, Janice Malhoff, Eric Williams, and Rick Yoder. We also have President and CEO Tim Burke, our General Counsel Steve Bruckner with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and several members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD senior management team members and subject matter experts are also participating in today's meeting remotely via WebEx. And additionally, we have, I believe, 5 members of the public in attendance on WebEx. As a reminder to board members, senior management, and OPPD staff, please mute your microphones to reduce background noise. To members of the public, thank you for attending. If you joined us via WebEx, you are in listen-only mode currently. If you do have any technology questions, please use the chat feature in WebEx to communicate with the event host. If you happen to get disconnected, that's not intentional. Please just simply rejoin in the same manner as when you originally joined. Okay, Mr. Burke, could we have the safety briefing now, please?
Yes. Ms. Hinders will identify a couple screenshots. One is the 10 actions for every Nebraskan to be taken to slow the spread of COVID-19. The other is a visual around one of our 3 W's. And so we started a campaign a couple weeks ago about our 3 W's. One W is wear a mask. The second W is watch your distance. And the third W is wash your hands and sanitize your hands. So those are the 3 W's that we are asking people to practice at OPPD, not only while they're working at OPPD, those that are working in our plants and our centers, Energy Plaza, but also those at home, whether you're going to the store, it just doesn't matter. So those are the 3 W's that we ask everybody to practice. And we know we're going to have cold weather. We know we're going to have snow and ice and certainly some moisture sometime this winter. And we've had a beautiful December so far. So we would ask you to make sure in your driving to be safe, to be slow, to pay attention to the surroundings around you, as well as when you're walking. So watch your step, watch thaws and freeze cycles to make sure where you're stepping is not slick and you do not fall. So that would be our safety briefing for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's run through our list of guidelines for the conduct of this meeting. The meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on oppd.com. It is being conducted via WebEx events and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you will have an opportunity to comment on any other matters of OPPD business. So that's right at the end for those of you that are joining us for the first time. And we will, of course, take comments via WebEx. So let's go ahead and do that and review the 2 options for WebEx attendees to notify us that you would like to make a comment. Here is option number 1. It involves sending the meeting technology host a message using the chat feature, simply stating that you wish to speak. Mo, could you describe this for us, please?
Thank you, Chair Moody. For those who have joined us using a computer or WebEx mobile app, you will find a button in your WebEx interface to open the chat panel. Once opened, you may send your message to the meeting technology host. Requests to provide comments will be relayed to Chair Moody for recognition during the public comments section.
Thank you, Mo. Let's take a look at option 2, which involves the hand raise feature. Go ahead, Mo.
WebEx allows attendees to virtually raise their hand. You may use this feature to indicate to OPPD that you wish to be recognized to provide comments. The hand raise button is located in the participant list panel as displayed on this slide. After you have provided your comments, please press the hand raise button again to virtually lower your hand. And for those who have joined the meeting using only a telephone, WebEx has a hand raise feature that is activated by pressing *3 to raise and lower your hand. When we see your hand raised, we will acknowledge you by referencing a portion of your phone number. For example, caller with the phone number beginning in 402123. If you wish to provide comments when recognized, please wait a brief moment to be unmuted and begin speaking. Additionally, at this time, if you would like to try testing out the hand raise feature, you may do so.
Okay, we'll pause just for a minute to see if anybody wants to test out that feature. Go right ahead. Okay. I'll, of course, allow plenty of time at each opportunity for public comment for members of the public to provide notification via WebEx, so we'll be patient. When I do call on a member of the public to speak, our meeting technology host will unmute your microphone. Before commencing your comments, I suggest that you first affirm that we can hear you, and we'll let you know. Before your comments commence, please state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you're representing. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we will display a timer to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Hinders will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. If you would, please direct your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you do happen to have written materials that you'd like to provide, please email them to Ms. Hinders at mfhinders@oppd.com. That's mfhinders@oppd.com, and she will receive them on our behalf. Okay, Ms. Hinders, will you please take the roll call?
Yes. Bogner.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Gay.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Mulhoff.
Here.
Moody.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Announcement regarding public notice of meeting. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in Outlets newsletter and on oppd.com, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since December 4th, 2020, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on oppd.com. The consent agenda items for this evening are as follows. Item 6, approval of the October 2020 Comprehensive Financial and Operating Report, November 2020 meeting minutes, and the December 9th, 2020 agenda. Item 7, declaration of anticipated 2021 capital expenditures reimbursement, resolution number 6403. Item 8, railroad easement acquisitions 2021 through 2025, resolution number 6404. Item 9, BL5 Unity of Control Policy Refinement, resolution number 6405. Item 10, bylaws amendment, meeting schedule, resolution number 6406. Item 11, 2021 board meeting schedule, resolution number 6407. Item 12, SD8 Employee Relations Monitoring Report, resolution number 6408. Item 13, retirement plan amendments, resolution number 6409. Item 14, 401k retirement plan amendments, resolution number 6410. And item 15, 457 retirement plan amendments, resolution number 6411. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
I make a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's a motion from Mr. Gay and a second from, I believe that was Director McGuire. Okay, so we discussed these action items at the committee meeting on Tuesday, so there will be no board comments at this time then. I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on any of these consent agenda items. If you would, in fact, like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. I believe we have a telephone user out there. So for our phone user, if you would like to make a comment, please press *3 and your virtual hand will be raised. Okay, Brent, do we have any chat requests?
We have no chat requests, Chair Moody.
Okay, I do not see any other hands raised. I'll pause for just a couple seconds to give people time. And we'll go ahead and close public comment. Ms. Henders, could you take the roll, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 16, 2021 Final Corporate Operating Plan, Resolution number 6412. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the 2021 Corporate Operating Plan for the Omaha Public Power District is hereby approved.
I move that we accept the corporate operating plan as provided in the documents.
Thank you, Director Bogner. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Director Mulhoff. Go ahead and tee it up, Director Bogner.
All right, thank you. We spent the last couple of months reviewing the corporate operating plan, and I think that it sufficiently addresses the interests of the district and our customer owners. Specifically, it reflects the movement on the strategic initiatives that we've been hearing about over the last couple of years. It also allows us to continue to honor the no general rate increase, which is so important to our customer owners. So I think that we should accept this corporate operating plan as written. Would any of my fellow board members like to make a comment? I see Director McGuire's hand.
Yes, I just wanted to also mention, in addition to what Director Bogner said, is that our outside consultant, the Brattle Group, did review the base rate and FFPA changes as far as it reset, and they did feel that they were fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory. We just got that this week, I believe, so I think that was important to note. I'm complete.
Thank you, Director McGuire. I don't see any other hands right now.
Okay. I'll just simply add that we naturally had a rather robust discussion as a board last month when the first version was introduced to us. We had several conversations that occurred throughout the month leading up to yesterday's all committees meeting, and had yet another robust discussion about. So we've been through this rather thoroughly, which might explain why there aren't any comments or questions today. Okay, so let's go ahead and take some public comment on the corporate needs. If you want to send a chat to the host, if you'd like to send a chat to the host or raise your hand, please do so. Brent, did we have any chat requests?
We have had no chat requests, Chair Moody.
Okay, thank you. And I'm not seeing, unless I'm missing it, any hands raised. So let's go ahead and conclude public. Mo, could you call the roll, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 17, SD 13 Stakeholder Outreach and Engagement Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6413. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Omaha Public Power District hereby accepts the 2020 SD 13 Stakeholder Outreach and Engagement Monitoring Report in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
I move that the board accept
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Go ahead, Director Yoder.
Thank you very much. So as a chair of the PI committee, the members of that PI committee all recommended approval of this. I personally recommend approval of the SD 13 monitoring report. You know, when we look at a monitoring report, we're basically taking a snapshot at a way station on our journey to becoming the utility of the future. Monitoring reports are a pause that allows everybody to get out of the bus and see where we are and stretch our legs, work out the kinks. And I first want to say that members of the board and management have received some public input on SD 13. And I want to thank them for the time that they've taken to write down their thoughts and share them with the board and management. I don't know that everybody's gotten a response. I hope so. I think that's good form, honestly. I admit I always don't manage to get the response back. And so I apologize if you feel like you have not been heard. I think the team does a very good job. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that happens, and the team does a good job at it, in my view. I personally want to thank as well the senior management team for the changes that I've already seen and the changes that they've committed to make regarding stakeholder outreach and engagement. I think I've heard several board members mention their hope that OPPD transitions away from a marketing bias or the decide, present, defend engagement model. Senior management and Lisa Olson's team has responded very well. We are now using the IAP2 rubric, and they're sharing with the board their approach of setting engagement goals early as setting engineering goals for big new projects. So I think we're on the right road. We aren't where we want to be yet, but we're certainly moving down the road and on the right road. I want to also thank Lisa and her team during the board's review of GP1 yesterday, where we were reminded of the board's purpose to monitor and measure the results of strategic directives. We couldn't do that without the help of VP Olson and her team on helping us see those metrics. Again, we're on a journey, and the success for this part of the climb is particularly difficult. We may have to get out of the bus and push, but I know we're going to get there. I'm sure that we will see continued improvement about the many channels of communication, but how we are measuring effectiveness in achieving goals. So that's what we've seen. We've seen improvement, and it's been a good monitoring report. So with that, I'm going to see if other directors, or is that back to you, Craig?
Doesn't matter. I can handle it. Let me handle it from here if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I got a couple screens going. I want to first call on Director Williams. He's calling in, and let's let him go.
Great, thanks very much. And I think this is a good indication of the challenges we're facing with our engagement, as I'm sitting upstairs in my house where my internet isn't working, but at least I'm wearing a shirt and tie for my phone call. So I appreciate all that the team has been doing over the last couple of years to continue to improve our outreach and engagement and to open up new channels for people to both provide input and then for staff to respond and verify that we've received that input and provide some idea of how that input will be incorporated into the planning and policy updates that we have moving forward. We have received comments about a few times in the past where some of the public engagements left some people desiring a little bit more. And I think that through the discussions we've had last year and this year since I've been on the board, I've heard a lot of great steps forward from staff, the opening of the new Oppd Community Connect portal, and other methods of engagement have been big helps to people who wish to both express and get response back to and from the district. As we look forward to 2021, we know that the ongoing work for Power with Purpose as we move into the design and construction of the utility scale solar and the gas assets, and the ongoing engagement with the pathways to decarbonization, those are big initiatives that will require, as we have been told by staff, ongoing and comprehensive engagement with our customer owners. And so I appreciate that we have learned from times in the past where we received feedback and that we are incorporating that into what we will do in our future activities. The planning that we are undertaking now is transformational to the not only next years, but next several decades of what our utility will be. And so the input from our stakeholders about how they want to see us balance the three main parts of our mission, the affordable, reliable, and environmentally sensitive energy services, I think that feedback is critical early and often as we lay out the path of what Oppd will continue to do to be the clean energy leader of the future. So again, I appreciate the steps forward that we have taken over the last few years. I think we have some tools in front of us that will help us to be successful over the next year and into the following years. So thanks very much to the staff for their listening to the input they have received and for continuous improvements as we prepare for the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Williams, and you look good, by the way. Okay, let's go to Director Gay next. I see your hand up, sir.
Thank you. I just mentioned this on our committee meeting, but I think it is very important. Lisa and her team's doing a great job. I always appreciate that, but I just want to stress the importance, once we are out of COVID again, of those personal exchanges that I know she's going to continue to do. But anyway, just put a plug in for that again. I know we'd do a lot of these things with social media and all that. That's great, but there's still some of those old timers who like to show up and complain or engage, I guess. So, but anyway, keep up the great work on that one, Lisa, and we'll see at some of those meetings probably down the road. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Director Gay. Director Molhoff.
Yes, thank you. This monitoring report is really a culmination of a year of really hard work on the part of Lisa and her team. And the really amazing part of it is that Oppd is leading the way in our Oppd Community Connect and how we're reaching out to the public and really seeking to be excellent and to make sure we're having those connections, making those relationships, and building a sense of community around Oppd. So I just want to commend the team. I think that this is a monitoring report that's reflective of all the work that they've done through the year. And I was really to see them in action in Washington County and to see the relationships that they've built up there and the respect that they have in the community, and just really want to commend the team and express my appreciation to them for that work. So thank you very much, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Molhoff. Director McGuire, I do see your hand up.
Yes, I want to go all the way back to when Lisa also came back in 2011. She came in just in time for the flood. And the amount of stakeholder outreach that she did both locally and nationally was outstanding. The Oppd actually got awards for that. Since that time, Lisa has been doing nothing but continuing to increase the stakeholder outreach. She's always led the way. She led the way with in 2015 when we were looking at all the new power plants and as far as closing down power plants and all the stakeholder outreach there. And she continues to improve on this with her team. This next year, she's going to have the largest budget she's ever had to work with the Power with Purpose. And I expect nothing but the best out of Lisa and her team. And I want to thank them very, very much. I wanted everybody to recognize the fact that continued improvement means that these guys continue to lead the way. Thank you, Lisa and team.
That's a great comment, Director McGuire. Thank you. Board members, any additional comments? I'm not seeing any hands. Before we take public comment, I'll just very quickly add my kudos on top of the cake. What a year, right? And I can't imagine a more difficult year to really meaningfully engage people with all that was going on. So thanks to the team for all the work that was done, and you know, more of the same the next 12 months, I suppose, when we're doing this again in December 2021. Decarbonization, power with purpose, there's so much more. And I acknowledge that it's an extraordinarily difficult time to do this work, and the board, you know, values it a great deal and is continuing to push. So thanks, Lisa, to you, thanks to the entire team, really exceptional work. As Rick mentioned, I do want to acknowledge that we did receive some public comments, and we've all read those and taken those into consideration as well. So thank you to the public if you're listening for those. Okay, not seeing any additional hands, let's open this up for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to comment on SD 13, please send a chat to the host or go ahead and raise your virtual hand. If you're on the telephone, please press *3 to raise your virtual hand. Okay, I do see Francis Mendenhall. Let's go ahead and unmute Francis. You're unmuted.
Hello, it's actually Alan Vovoka, Francis Mendenhall's spouse.
Very good. We can hear you loud and clear, Alan. Name and address, please.
Alan Vovoka, 3719 Hamilton Street, Omaha, Nebraska. I believe that OPPD has gotten better at communicating with the stakeholders, that we're getting much more information than we had in years past. And I believe that OPPD is listening better too. The area of improvement that I'd bring up at this time would be that acting on suggestions from stakeholders seems to be the area that's left to improve on. There's got to be a way to measure how much input you get from people that you actually incorporate. So if you're looking for a measurement to use, I'd suggest figuring out how to measure that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vovolka. Good comment. Other members of the public, if you'd like to speak, go ahead and send a chat or raise that virtual hand. Brent, have we had any chat requests?
I have no chat requests, Chair Moody.
Thank you. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, we'll call that the end of public comment. And so long as board members don't have any additional comments, let's go ahead and take the roll, Ms. Henners.
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 18, corporate officers compensation adjustments, resolution number 6414. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustments for President and Chief Executive Officer Timothy J. Burke and Vice Presidents Kathleen W. Brown, Julie A. Comstock, L. Javier Fernandez, Mary J. Fisher, Lisa A. Olson, Martha L. Segte, and Troy R. Vi, as set forth on Exhibit A attached here to, be and hereby are approved.
So move.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry. Is that you, Director Gay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Director McGuire, you're up.
Okay, we have discussed the corporate officer compensations both in closed session, open session, and also during the governance committee. The governance committee has recommended that we go ahead and accept these raises and compensation. Previously, all of these CEOs and VPs were evaluated on the month of the date of their hire. However, we decided to hold back on decision as far as any type of compensation until we found out exactly what the impact of COVID would be on our budget, and also for the utility itself, and also as far as the need for help of our customer owners at this time of need. After looking at this, it was when we discussed the corporate operating plan, the total increase amount for all the CEOs and VPs is 1/100%. The total amount that we would pay out for this is $205,840. So that's the financial structure of this as far as the rationale. As far as the when we want to figure out whether or not these people deserve this compensation, they got accolades, every single one of them. I said previously at the board meeting that CEO Tim Burke has done a great job since he came on in 2015 as CEO and president, and has really put together a dream team. At this time, I would sort of like to hear comments from other board members about this. So we could do that. It'd be great.
Sure. I see Director Bogner's hand is up. Go ahead, Director Bogner.
Sure, I'll happy to go first. You know, the pressures that the district are under to continue to strive to meet our strategic directives, to implement our strategic initiatives, and do all of that while maintaining affordability of our electric services to the areas we serve are great. And we have a great team leading the charge on that, and they wholeheartedly deserve a raise. And I fully support this. I'm complete.
Thank you, Director Bogner. Director Molhoff, I saw your hand go up next.
Sure, I'll go next. Since I came onto the board 2 years ago, we've been through a terrible flood and now a terrible coronavirus. And all of the leaders of this organization have stepped up and performed really above and beyond. They are working evenings, weekends, holidays, making sure that first of all, that their teams are supported, and second, that the work that needs to be done gets done to keep the lights on and to keep the power flowing. And so the level of commitment that I've seen from this team is amazing, and the responsiveness to customers and their commitment to the values of the organization is exemplary. And I do wholeheartedly support this. Both the merit increases and the market adjustments. Those market adjustments have not been made since 2016, and so they're perhaps even overdue to make sure that we can retain quality folks in these positions. So.
Thank you, Director Molhoff. Director Yoder.
I have a clarification question to begin with for the public. In the here we see two columns that's new salary, and so could someone share how new salary on the left side is different from a new salary on the right side?
Sure. So if you look across the document that you see, you have the VP's name, a merit increase amount, and then a new salary once that merit increase is applied and their new compensation ratio and the effective date of that merit increase. If there's a market adjustment, that's then applied to the previous salary that's posted there, and you get their new salary and an additional change to their comp ratio. Thank you, Director Yoder.
No, that's a great explanation, and I think it's helpful for the public to see that. So for my fellow board members, feel about this annual approval of executive compensation, but I really like it. If I had my druthers, I'd do it this way every year. I think it gives us the opportunity to think critically about compensation strategy in ways that we really haven't done when we just look at one or two people throughout the year. And maybe that's been the point. One of CEO Burke's enduring themes for conversations with me as a board member, and I'm sure with you, has been executive compensation. And that's as it should be. My enduring theme has always been about the appropriate strategy for executive compensation in the public sector. And while some people have taken those comments about appropriate compensation personally, I'm sorry about that, but I acknowledge that we all process words differently. I approach it this way: we are all different. Not only are we different, we can look at something and not see the same thing. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And then with that observation, I'll just point out that I have always been in the public sector. My career began back with the city of Fairbanks, working for the utility there, also for a utility that didn't get Social Security payments or Social Security taken out of the pay. So I believe in public service, and public service is a very different calling from the private sector. That's how my brain is wired. I don't expect to change anybody's minds today. People made up their minds yesterday. And I want to let people know without reservation, Tim has built and we enjoy a great executive team at OPPD. Tim is doing exactly what he thinks is best for his team, just like Scott Frost does for his executive team, the coaches for Nebraska football. And it takes a good team to run a good organization. The Nebraska public is certainly okay with paying the coach $5 million because football is more important than electricity. But there are differences between NU football and public power. To Nebraska football is all discretionary. Electricity is essential to live successfully these days. Certainly if you're working at home with COVID, certainly if you're going to school remotely. And OPPD is a monopoly. Not only do customers not have a choice to do without electricity in today's world, they also don't have a choice of vendors. The very framework of a monopoly, whether we like to admit it or not, puts us in the position, if we're not careful, of looking like we are taking from those who have little and putting into the hands of those who have plenty. This is a tension that's been around since the beginning. And I guess earlier this year, when the COVID pandemic began, I thought we were postponing the increase in executive compensation because we, board members, the voice of the public, wanted to draw the line on discretionary spending during the economic downturn of the pandemic. I had hoped that holding the line on executive compensation this year would clearly indicate the board's response to and concern for the electorate, an electorate who's increasingly feeling the heat of the hard economic times, just like other public sector people are doing. So we haven't been talking about that. In what I hear biases. You know, this year we had 16 biases presented to us. That recommended change of 205,000 is a small part of this year's payroll. True, but it is also on top of an increase from last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. In the 6 years of your or my term, we could easily add, depending on how much per year we're adding with market adjustments and salary increases, we could easily be adding $1 to $1.5 million annually to the next person who fills our seats. So that's an anchoring bias, right? That's a framing bias. I've repeatedly heard the concern about retention, and fear is a powerful motivator. It's also, I think, a terrible basis for a considered decision. Change happens, whether it's because I've been in a university culture since I was a kid or my career in the public sector. I've always thought it best to recognize growth and to wish people well as they explore new ventures. Someone will always be willing to take their place, and I'm old enough to feel mortality besides. We don't all live forever. And we need to have, and we do have, thanks to Tim's excellent leadership, continuity plans. So the biases here, when we talk about fear, you know, false causality, loss aversion, ambiguity bias. And then lastly, I don't know about you, but I campaigned on change. I perceive that me, and I think some of you, find ourselves embracing small incremental improvements over the innovation we were once espousing out on the campaign trail. And I'm not sure how we move from advocating reinvention and innovation to accepting small improvements. We're consistent with approving these things year over year. I wonder if this vote were held in January, if with the fresh people on the board, would the outcome be the same? So authority bias, bandwagon bias, status quo bias, ambiguity bias, I think those are all involved here. So like I said, I don't expect to change any minds today. People made up their minds yesterday. And let me restate, no reservations. Tim is built. We enjoy a great executive team at OPPD. We really do. And they deserve to be recognized. I just think it's time as a board we think about how we think about the strategy of executive compensation in the public sector. So I'm thankful for working with Tim Burke and his executive team. I'm thankful that the vision of George Norris is coming true with this team. The vision that the natural resources that Nebraska has, whether it be the water, hydropower, the sun for solar power, the wind, will deliver electricity at a good price to the people.
Rick, are you about done?
Mike, you're rude.
Done?
You're still rude.
Director Kavanaugh, I got that. Thank you. Carry on, Director Yoder.
I am complete, but he was rude. I am thankful.
Okay, Director Williams, I think you have your hand up. Go ahead, Director Williams.
Great, thanks very much. I mentioned several things during the committee meeting yesterday, but in a short reiteration, there are two ways to view executive compensation. On the one hand, this compensation is generous compared to many people, both within our community and across the country and around the world. The executives at OPPD are very generously compensated. On the other hand, based on the work that has been completed in the past and the tasks that are outlined for the executives to complete with their numerous team members, I feel this compensation is justified. The ratio of compensation between our executives and our average employees is significantly better than we see in many other organizations, both public and private. The increase that we are recommending for approval here for the executives is in line with the increases we are seeing for the employees up and down the organization. And with respect to change, as Director Yoder pointed out, I feel that we have covered in several different ways that this is support for the work that has been begun since CEO Burke began about 5 years ago, and several members of the senior management team have joined him in revolutionizing this organization, and that this will be seen as verifying the need for ongoing and continuous improvements with respect to the decarbonization and transformation of the utility looking forward. So yes, I agree that executive compensation is a very challenging topic to discuss. It is seen differently by different people, but when compared to other public agencies, I think we would find that the overall number of employees, the overall budget, the overall jurisdictional area, by basically any metric, the amount of responsibility and the amount of influence that CEO Burke and the executives at OPPD have over the improving quality of life for people in our district is significant. And it does lead me to conclude that the work we have seen in the past and the work we expect to see in the future would be commensurate with the compensation that we are recommending today. So again, I appreciate what we have seen, and I hope that this sends the message that we want to see more improvements in the organization in the future, and not only continuing the improvements, but accelerating as we know the industry is continuing to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Williams. Director Molhoff, your hand is up. I just want to check and see if you're good. Okay. Other directors, any additional comments? Director Kavanaugh, anything from you on this matter?
No, I'm in support of it. I made my comments yesterday.
Okay. I've just got a couple that I'll add on. I mean, I appreciate the challenge of this issue, no question about it, right? Like this is not, these are the tough decisions that we have to make. Rick, I appreciate, you know, the idea around change, right? Like I think you and I campaigned at the same time. We campaigned on a lot of the same issues. We campaigned around, you know, the future of the utility. What excites me is that we're very much on that journey, to use your analogy earlier, on SD13. And this is the team that I want driving the bus. Because I think there's an acknowledgement and everybody recognizes that like the industry is changing very, very quickly. And I'm really proud of the work that's underway and that I'm looking forward to that is going to be really transformational. And this is the team that I want. I understand. Yeah, I wouldn't, you know, you use the term fear when it comes to retention. And to me, like, and as it relates to the exec comp and public sector, just to talk about those two things for one moment. Yeah, I understand the issue. I understand how challenging it is. And I understand the desire for, you know, aren't you in the public sector and shouldn't you take a discount for that? The reality is, this is extraordinarily important work. This is a felt fair pay issue for me, and these people deserve to be paid market rates for their work. And I guess in closing, and I think Director Williams, you said this, but I'll just reiterate it. You know, these wages are in many ways a reflection of the great work that's already been happening. But to me, it's an investment in the future. It's an investment in tomorrow, and that's a big part of the reason why. I'm really excited about this team, and I do think that these are very much in line with what we should be doing as a board, and I support them. I'll check one last time for any additional hands. Director McGuire, I see yours up.
Yes, thank you very much, Craig. I agree with everything that you just said. I just wanted to sort of reiterate the fact as far as when we talk about public, you know, and public power and everything. However, in the past, it used to be public power only recruited within public power. They don't do that anymore. Right now, we're recruiting our vice presidents and our CEOs nationally from both the public and the private sector. And likewise, these people who are working in the public sector are being recruited out nationally as far as retention. So I think it's important to make that. And as far as the idea is we wanted to implementing change, I do have one nice little quote for you, and I can leave it with you as far as a piece of advice. And the quote is, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that lead others to join you. And that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That just happens to be on my little bulletin board right now, and I give you that piece of advice. So I am complete with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McGuire. Board members, any last comments before we open this up for public comment?
Hey, Craig, I can't resist, but yeah, I'll say something on this issue. I agree with Director Yoder, maybe as putting all these at the same time where you can see how our goals were achieved throughout the year and all that. And then you don't have to, onesie, twosie here or there. So I do agree with him on that. I do disagree on a couple of things though, as far as these, I seconded this, so I agree with the salary comps changes. One thing I do want to point out though, as a strategy, over the years, we have got rid of country club memberships, cars, a lot of perks that we don't give as a public entity. So I don't want people to forget about that. We've changed, and we do recruit nationally. Several of the people on this list are home, we had to go get them, and they're quality people. So we need to keep up with those market adjustments like we're doing here. And then just one more thing, public sector, I agree. You got to watch it because these are ratepayer dollars, and we are, if you want to call it a monopoly, but yet we're run as a private business. And I think that's a key thing here. I don't want to just say, well, it's public, they should be working for less. I agree with Director Williams. They're adequate salaries. I said that yesterday too. But it's a tough decision. I think we're doing the right thing for sure. I don't have a problem, but I just wanted to look in the past a little bit here before we're gone and say some of these things were changed. It was a lot different, and also a lot of pensions don't exist either. So several of these new people do not have pensions that used to exist. So there's a lot of nuance to this, and I think the public should know that when we vote on these things. So as they say now, I guess I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gay. Director Yoder, I see your hand back up. Did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to thank everybody for the rich discussion here. I think it's useful, and I'm especially mindful for the reminders of the history that got us to where we are. So thank you for all of those comments that we got.
Okay. Board members, any last comments before we open this up for public comment? Seeing head shakes. Okay, so let's open this up for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on resolution 6414, please send a chat to the host or raise your virtual hand. I do see, I believe that's you, Mr. Vivolka. Your hand is still up. I don't know if that's stale from the last agenda item, but if you'd like to make a comment, go ahead and leave your hand up. Okay, that hand's still up. Brian, can we unmute?
Hello, Alan Vivolka, 3719 Hamilton Street. I share some of Mr. Yoder's concerns, and the ratio between the top compensated people in the organization and the bottom is an issue across a large segment of society. But I did read a couple years ago that the fastest growing gap in salaries in America was between the highest compensated individual and the third highest compensated individual. And it seems like you guys are getting that under control. So congratulations for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Okay, so we did get a message in the chat from a member of the public. That's Nancy Meyer. Nancy, if you could provide your address so that we have that for the public record, I would appreciate it. And since it was in the chat, I'll just read it. Let me make sure I'm looking at it correctly here. Yeah, so Nancy says, quote, with that high of an income, I'm hoping these OPPD members can afford to outfit their homes with renewable energy, buy solar panels, end quote. So we'll just go ahead and get that entered into the public record. Okay, any additional comments, Brent? Any additional chat requests for public comment?
I have no additional chat requests.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I missed one from Nancy Meyer. Sorry, let me read this for the public record. Quote, I'd like to say that I'm extremely proud of the OPPD board for being leaders in pursuing clean energy solutions in this state. I want to encourage you to continue to be champions on climate by moving away from fossil fuels and investing in clean energy. As a customer owner ratepayer, I strongly support all progress in this area. And her address, which she just entered, was 2043 County Road Y, Cedar Bluffs, Nebraska 68015. Thank you for those comments, Nancy. And I'll simply say that you mentioned pride in the OPPD board for being leaders. I'll just take the liberty of rolling that over into senior management as well. I think it's the entire team is focused on that effort. Okay. Quick pause to see if there are any last comments from the public. Brent, anything in the chat?
I have no new chat requests, Director Moody.
Okay, so let's go ahead and close public comment on this matter. Ms. Henners, can you call the roll, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Molhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Those hogs are puggles. We got 3 of them at home.
Williams.
They're a pain in the ass, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Can someone mute Director Kavanaugh, please? Director Williams?
Yes, I approve the compensation increase.
Thank you. Director Yoder?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. On to the next item.
Agenda item 19, resolution of appreciation for Director Tim Gay, resolution number 6415. Whereas Tim Gay was appointed by Governor Heineman to the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District in January 2013, and then was elected to the board for a 6-year term in 2014. And whereas during his tenure on the board as a director for Subdivision 3, Mr. Gay served as chair of the board, vice chair, and treasurer, and also chaired and or served on all of the board standing committees. And whereas Mr. Gay's service to OPPD was characterized by a strong interest and knowledge of the district's business and by a steady guidance and oversight of the district, applying the breadth of his experience, judgment, and expertise in legislative matters, business, and community activities. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. 1, that at a meeting duly convened on this 9th day of December 2020, his fellow board members and management of the district hereby publicly acknowledge the dedicated and distinguished service of Tim Gay as a director of the Omaha Public Power District. 2, that the board wishes to express appreciation of Mr. Gay's invaluable contributions to the success of the district. And 3, that a certified copy of this resolution, suitably prepared and inscribed, be presented to Tim Gay to serve as a reminder of his faithful and loyal service.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I heard a second from Director Molhoff. I'll open it up to board members first for comments before we give you the floor, Director Gay.
So I'm unmuted. My hand's up.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. So I will, Director Gay, quite a bit. I can't really explain the depth of my emotions here. I don't have anything prepared, but clearly what I've really been struck by with Tim has been the fact that he thinks pretty deeply about these things. He comes at it from a different view than what I expected of him ahead of time. So he's always challenging me. He's always challenging me. And even when he agrees with me, I sometimes find that a challenge, unexpected perhaps. So I'm thankful for that, thankful for the guidance that he's offered over the years, thankful for his for the history that he's brought. And honestly, I wish him well in his future endeavor, and think as a public servant, Nebraska's will miss him. OPPD will miss him, but perhaps we'll see him again in some other seat someday, and I look forward to that.
Thank you, Director Yoder. Director Bogner.
Thank you, Tim, for your service to the district and being a great fellow board member. In my first year of serving on the board last year, I had the pleasure of serving under you on the Finance Committee. You were treasurer last year, and I learned a lot about how to dissect the information that we were provided as directors to understand our fiduciary responsibility, and I appreciate your tutelage in that respect. I also enjoyed sitting by you at the all committee meetings and having a little side chat. I miss those days when we were able to do that. So thank you so much, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Director Bogner. Director Mulhoff.
Tim, thank you for your service, both in the legislature and here at OPPD. I know that you did great work in both places. Appreciate your service. And I'm looking forward to a time when I can shake your hand in person and say thank you. But I'm sure that time will come again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Mulhoff. Director Kavanaugh.
Tim, I've enjoyed the 8 years serving with you on the board. It was evident from your first day on the job that your prior experience made you an excellent board member from the start. You hit the ground running. You've been a good board member, effective, done a great job representing not only your district, but also the district as a whole. You've been a good board member, but you've been, better yet, a good friend, and you'll be missed. Thanks for your service and your friendship. Wish you well.
Thank you, Director Kavanaugh. Director McGuire.
Yes, Tim. I guess it's sort of fun to go out together because the dream team, part of the dream team's leaving. No, I'm kidding. No, but I really did appreciate when Tim came 8 years ago, we really did need some help as far as legislative ideas and suggestions, and his input from the legislative front has been very, very helpful for us. He's also been a great help as far as dealing with the Sarpy County area. I think he's been a great consumer advocate for Sarpy County, and will continue to be. So thanks so much, Tim, and I hope to see you soon. I am complete.
Thank you, Director McGuire. Let's go to Director Williams.
Yeah, thanks. And I've had the pleasure to get to know Tim through my other professional work, as well as being a director here for the last 2 years. I regret that we had brunch together, I believe, only once during the original Power with Purpose discussions. And I enjoyed seeing him in person at the meetings last year. So I regret that we haven't had the chance to meet in person throughout the public health crisis that's been ongoing this year. But I appreciate your ongoing work to push OPPD forward. And as we look back over the last 5 years, as we talk about significant changes that have occurred within the utility and the path that we're currently on, those changes began just a few years before that. And so both Tim and when it's her turn, Ann, I appreciate the work that you both did to move OPPD to the path that helped to push us where we are now and point us into the future. So thank you very much for your service. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in new capacities into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Williams. My 2 cents, Director Gay. You're one of my favorite Republicans, my friend. In all seriousness, I've really enjoyed working with you. The first word that comes to mind for me is pragmatic. And I feel like you've just got such good judgment. You think through issues in a really good, deliberate way. And I've really, really enjoyed serving alongside you, and I've learned a lot from you. So thank you for your service. Okay. There are no last comments from board members. I'll open this up to the public for quick comments. So if you would like to make a comment, members of the public, please raise your virtual hand or send a note to the chat. Send a chat to the host. And if you do want to make a public comment, and you don't want to write it in the chat, you can just say, I'd like to make a public comment. We'll unmute you. I don't see any hands raised. Brent, do you have anything in the chat?
I have no chat requests, Chair Moody.
Okay. Pausing for just a moment. Okay, Director Gay, before we vote, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I do. I should have had my wife listening to all those nice comments. Thank you so much. No, but I mean it. That really means a lot. Thank you so much for all the nice comments. It's bittersweet, you know, leaving. It's got a lot of work to do, but these are 6-year terms. And as many of you know, I got busy, started my own business about 3 years ago. So life changes and that's all good. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, as it says in the resolution, I was appointed by Governor Heineman to replace a friend, Director Thompson, who is on the OPPD board down there in Bellevue for me, prior to me. But anyways, I did get reelected, and I wanted to thank the ratepayers of Sarpy County, the voters, particularly my areas, Bellevue, Papillion, and La Vista. They've elected me, and I was glad to serve them. So, but Eric alluded to a little bit of this, you know, 8 years ago is an interesting time because we had to deal with the Fort Calhoun and all those different things. So I look at that. We got North Omaha, Fort Calhoun, working with Ann on the strategic directives initiative was very good. I think we're a much more transparent agency because of that. The power of purpose. There's just a lot going on, and there's going to be a lot going on at Ford, as you know, into the future. But I wanted to say too that being on the OPPD board is what an opportunity to learn so much new things. I was always so impressed as working with some of a lot of the senior managers, both now, as we just talked about, and even prior, some that are gone, just really good business people too. They really care. And that was really cool to see. And that goes for all the employees. I did want to give a shout out to a few folks, and if I missed someone, I apologize, but I burned up the phone a lot or pestered a lot of people. One, Steve Fanslow, Danny Bagley, Steve Bruckner, Jim Christ, then a lot of times Christy Labs. I know Christy, and then now Mo does a great job, and even Kim Tracy. Boy, we're lucky to have all these people helping us out. So, and then, like I say, the senior managers just do a great job. So say that. And then I'd also say just served with Director McGuire and Director Kavanaugh the longest here, which isn't near as long as Ann's tenure. But anyway, I always appreciate too, and I appreciate Craig, you saying that about, you know, this is a good job where it's not really partisan. We're just all trying to do a great job. And that is so cool. Keep it that way. You got some great members coming in. I don't feel that bad about leaving because you guys do such a great job and you're so engaged that leaving it in great hands. And I know person taking my spot's going to do a great job on the right track, but I really enjoyed seeing all of you. Unfortunately, this is weird, you know, with COVID stuff, but I'll be around and we'll touch base and get back to normal again. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And I am complete, as we're saying. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Director Gay. Okay, let's, Ms. Henders, can we call the roll on this one, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay, although perhaps you should recuse yourself.
I will abstain. How about that?
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes, absolutely.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Agenda item 20, resolution of appreciation for Director Ann McGuire, resolution number 6416. Whereas Ann McGuire was elected to the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District for a 6-year term in 1996 and re-elected in 2002, 2008, and 2014. And whereas during her tenure on the board as a director for Subdivision 2, Ms. McGuire served as chair of the board, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary, and also chaired and/or served on all of the board standing committees. And whereas Ms. McGuire's service to OPPD was characterized by strong interest and knowledge of the district's business and by her steady guidance and oversight of the district, applying the breadth of her experience, judgment, and expertise in public health, business, and community activities, and the development of OPPD's governance structure. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. 1, that at a meeting duly convened on this 9th day of December 2020, her fellow board members and management of the district hereby publicly acknowledge the dedicated and distinguished service of Ann McGuire as a director of the Omaha Public Power District. 2, that the board wishes to express appreciation of Ms. McGuire's invaluable contributions to the success of the district. And 3, that a certified copy of this resolution, suitably prepared and inscribed, be presented to Ann McGuire to serve as a reminder of her faithful and loyal service.
I move to approve.
Second.
Second.
I've heard a handful of seconds. Just pick anyone, Mo. Before we take comments from board members, Director McGuire, could you introduce your friend, please?
My husband, Mike, this is his second meeting in 24 years that he has attended. And also, I've got, I think, 2 of my daughters, Megan McGuire and Katie McGuire Troya are listening in. So
very good.
But this is Mike's second meeting. I thought he says, "Do you think I should listen in?" I said, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah, you picked a good one. Well, thanks for joining us. Okay, board members, I'm going to open it up for comments from you. I see Director Bogner's hand first. This is alphabetical, I suppose, but go ahead, Director Bogner.
Thank you. I like going first. I don't mind it at all. So, Ann, I think, getting to know you over the last 2 years has been an unexpected blessing of being part of this board, and I'm so happy to be able to call you a friend, not just a fellow board member. And as we always review the strategic directives and as we do the retreat every year, I'm reminded of the structure that you helped implement here, which makes the director's job much easier to understand where is the organization headed, what do we want to achieve, and that legacy is going to live for a very, very long time. And I so much appreciate that structure and you for bringing that to the district. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Bogner. Let's go to Director Mulhoff.
So, Ann, you've been on the board almost as long as I was in the military, and so I have a little bit of understanding about those long-term kind of commitments in public service. And so I'm very appreciative of your commitment to OPPD and all the hard decisions you've had to make over the years, whether it was, rate increases, rate restructuring, Fort Calhoun, all of those difficult decisions. I think that you were always thoughtful and always appreciative of the employees of OPPD, considerate of senior management, and tried to bring some balance to the board. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you were maybe not the first, but certainly a pioneering woman on the board of the directors, and paved the way for the rest of us to take our seats at the board beside you. And we appreciate that. And thank you for your service when we first met, when I first got elected and we sat down together. And, from before I even took my seat on the board, you were there to be a mentor. And I just really appreciate that. So thank you, Ann. Thank you for your service and for your commitment to public power.
Thank you, Director Mohoff. Director Yoder.
Unmuting. And I really appreciate the deep passion, the depth of knowledge that you have for this organization and the directors. It's inspirational, really, for us to see how that can be exemplified and how fruitful that is for getting things to happen. I appreciate when I first came on the board, we sat next to each other and there wasn't an item on the agenda that I didn't hear something extra about. And I really appreciated learning the insights that your years of experience gave you, that you were so willing to share with me as a new board member. I appreciate your willingness to share those insights. I may not have always listened, but I've always heard. So there's a distinction there. And I will always be thinking of you in the future years because of the governance structure that we have. Every month we'll look at an SD, and every month we'll be thinking, thank you, Ann, thank you, Tim, for putting that forward for us and making our job easier. So good luck to you.
Thank you, Director Yoder. Director Gay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just say Director Mohoff spoke on something too. I agree. You know, for a long time, Ann was the only woman on the board, and I don't know if she's the only woman ever, but in a very male-dominated board, and even the senior managers were a lot of males, and just, you know, always holds her ground, spoke up, and did a great job. And I agree. It's always fun serving with you. You're one of 24 years I've been in public service in different capacities, and I know you have too. Your love of OPPD and the knowledge you have is unreal, and the commitment and the preparation you put into every meeting, clear up to your last meeting, is amazing. So they are going to miss you and your knowledge. But I wish you the best because I know you have other things to do too. That will be great, and that's all good. But anyway, I just wanted to say too, I think on the strategic directives, the structure, that was your idea to bring it in. I think it's really good for management, for the board. It's just really thoughtful and well done. And I could go on and on. Also, one more thing too, your knowledge of the nuclear facilities is just unbelievable as well. But anyway, I won't go on and on, but I could. But I wish you the best, Ann. I really enjoyed serving with you, and all the best. I'm sure we'll see you around some, and we'll see you because I know you're engaged in a lot of things. So thank you for your service, and good luck moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gay. Director Williams.
Yeah, and I appreciate all that you have done for the organization over the years. I've been following OPPD for maybe 10 or 12 years as an interested citizen, and the entire time I've known that you had the best interests of the district and the ratepayers and the people in our community at heart. From the original implementation of the strategic directives to the initial investment in wind energy, and now the next step of investment in solar energy, your continued vision for the future has helped us all to know that OPPD has been successful and will continue to be successful based on the type of leadership that you have demonstrated. You were here when the CEO, Tim Burke, was hired, and by extension, the entire senior management team that he now works with. And so I appreciate your vision at that time to know what the organization needed and know what would help us to point toward the future. As we consider where are we going, I think the institutional knowledge that you have provided in the 2 years that I've been on the board helps remind us all where we have come from and how we can take those next steps to continue to be a successful organization in the future. And as I first heard from another woman in public service, Senator Nina Turner, the expression lifting as we climb, I feel applies here, that you have turns back and look to the next generation of leaders here at OPPD and in our community and provided guidance on where we need to continue to look for progress and improvements both in the public sector and across our community. So again, thank you for your dedication and your service to OPPD, and we will think fondly of you often as we continue to move the organization forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Williams. Director Kavanaugh.
Thanks, Craig. Wow, Ann, where's the last 24 years gone? It just seems like yesterday we were just getting started. We've sure seen a lot of change through the years. You and I have served with a lot of directors, a lot of good directors and some characters through the years. I can say without a doubt, you are the most dedicated director I've had the privilege to serve with. You have served effectively and always with dignity. You've always shown great dignity. You will be greatly missed, my friend. Enjoy your retirement. I wish you well. Stay in touch. That's all I have.
Mute. I'm on mute. Sorry. I echo everything Director McGuire that everyone has said, but three things I want to hold up. One is, I can't underscore this enough, the legacy that you leave in terms of our governance structure. I tell people so often, I can't imagine doing this work without that. It's so critical, and I can't tell you how thankful I am that you've left that legacy. It's so important to our work. Almost everyone has mentioned your expertise. Your expertise is going to be greatly missed. I really appreciate the preparation, the expertise that you brought. And then lastly, you are an unabashed, huge supporter and champion for the district and its people. That's one of the things that I really appreciated about you as well, is it's not just where are we going and what's the governance structure, but you did a great job of holding people up all throughout the organization. I remember vividly sitting next to you during a board meeting. I think somebody had just retired or something happened to an employee who I didn't know their name. And I saw you make a note to send a note to that person. And I was like, she is just on her game. So I really appreciate the way in which you engaged the organization and held everyone up. I was really impressed by that. You will be missed, and congratulations. Okay, let's take quick public comment, and then we'll let you talk, Director McGuire. So if you would like to raise your hand or make a comments in a chat to the. So I see a couple. Let's go with Mr. John Pollock first.
Well, just to say thank you, Ann. You've been at it a lot longer than I have at these board meetings, and you've done a heck of a lot more work because you've been on the inside, and I'll miss you. Thanks again for all your service.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. We'll go to Alan Vivolka.
Hi, it's Frances Mendenhall. We're together here. 3719 Hamilton, and I remember Ann as more than a lot of people, but everybody on the board and management has always been really kind to me as and making me feel like, you know, that it really was public power and they really did care about what people in the public had to say. But Ann kind of stood out there, and she was warm and kind and funny. and I hope our paths cross again, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Francis. I do have one chat that I'll read from a Megan McGuire. And it reads as follows, quote, "I had the unique privilege of getting to vote for my mom at 18. I want to congratulate and thank her for her part in keeping the lights on and showing up with continuous energy for OPPD for the past 24 years. I too am now complete." That's wonderfully said, Megan. Thank you for that comment. Okay, pause for just one more second to see if there are any other public comments. I don't see any hands raised, and Brent, looks like no chat requests. Okay,
Actually,
so I'll close public
Chair,
comment.
Chair Moody.
I'm,
we do
I'm
have
sorry,
one-
say it again, Brent.
We do have one chat request. Let me send that to you, please. 1 second.
Okay. Okay, I'll save that comment from Nancy Meyer until the open at the conclusion. Is that it, Brent?
That is it. Yes, Chair Moody.
Okay, so I'll read that at the end. Don't let me forget. Okay, close of public comment period. Director McGuire, you're up.
Whoa, okay. I'm a little bit out of breath out of all that. Thank you so much. I'm really humbled. This morning, Tim Burke came at 8:15. He was supposed to be there at 8:30, but he's always 15 minutes early. I want to take a picture, Ann, okay. So he comes hauling up this huge replica of a turban. What a great gift. I want to thank all the machinists for making this. It really means a lot to me. The turban actually even moves. And I point that out because 24 years ago, I didn't know what a turban was or what it did. I was clueless when I came on 24 years ago. And as a result of that, I want to thank all of those in the past 24 years who have mentored me. There's been some past CEOs, and I will mention the CEOs, but I cannot mention all the VPs. There's too many of them. Like I said, I'm pretty old. But Fred Peterson, Gary Gates, and then our present CEO, Tim Burke, all those former and present senior management teams, all the former board of directors and the present board of directors who've helped me out and have taught me so much. The one thing I like about this company is that you always have the opportunity to learn. And it is a constant learning curve, as I think everyone who's in this organization recognizes. OPPD is blessed, and I think somebody did mention it. I really do value the employees and the retirees, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that they gave me when I was able to regularly visit the power plants, the peaking stations, the wind farms, the substations, now even the new community solar farm with Mary Fisher, and then touring the and listening and just finding out who these people are, that they're people, who keep the lights on. It's really, really important. I want to thank Steve Bruckner. Steve has been around the entire 24 years. At that time, he was underneath Steve Olson. But Steve has hung in there with me through thick and thin, through a lot of stuff. It was a lot of fun trying to hire CEO Burke, and I appreciate his help on that one. And then I want to really thank, as far as the governance structure, it goes back not only to myself, but also Del Weber and I, when we were in governance, we were thinking about this. How can we make this better? So I think we really have to point out Del Weber as far as helping our governance structure. And then now we have Scott Foch, who's helping us in that way. And thank you to all those people. Finally, I do have my dear husband, Mike. Mike and I have been around for 48 years, and he pointed out to me last night at 11 o'clock, he says, 24 of those 48 years you've been at OPPD. And I said, ooh, am I that old, or are we that old? So I want to thank Mike and all my family and friends. We went through 4 elections, and contrary to some of the people who've been on the board that have had easy elections, I never had an easy election. And I had a lot of family support to help me through all of that, which was really good. I do take solace that the district is in very good hands right now. As I mentioned, we do have an executive dream team and we also have the most engaged, educated board we've ever had. We have 2 new directors that are coming on board that are extremely capable, and that I mentioned that they're women. And we can now celebrate the fact, and I am wearing my the glass ceiling pin again. We can celebrate the fact that we now have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 women on the board. And we have 5 women who are vice presidents. My daughter, Megan, who so kindly talked just a while ago, mentioned to me that now that we have 4 women on the board and 5 female vice presidents, it now sets the table with the expectations that the women will be now running the show. So watch out, guys. And then finally, we're going to end up with saying, I don't know, this, you say, oh, she's given the history again, but this one's pretty important. OPPD is going to be celebrating the 75th anniversary next year. December 2nd, 1946, the state legislature created OPPD as a political subdivision of the state, making it a public power company. Now, it was finalized by a banknote and the total of $42 million. Now, this year's corporate operating plan, we didn't mention it, but it was $1,443 million. Well, we've come a long way since that, not only in spending money, but also creating a lot of progress. I look forward to the continued transformation of OPPD and the utility industry. And in closing, I am really grateful and blessed to be a part of this company. And in closing, and I hope you'll continue to use I am complete. Thank you.
Well said, Director McGuire. Thank you very much. Very impressive legacy you leave. Ms. Henners, could you call the roll, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Director McGuire, I mark you as an abstention. Molhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, congratulations, Ann, and congratulations, Director Gay. I'm going to actually do this. I think we need to take a brief break because we've got 30 minutes coming up, and then President Burke's report is 20 minutes. That's another hour. I want to give you all just a chance to stand up, stretch your legs. If you need to refresh the coffee, let's do so. So let's take no more than 5 minutes, and then we'll reconvene. I've got 5:32, so let's reconvene at 5:30. I know this is atypical, but I'm concerned you've been sitting too long. So let's get up and stretch the legs, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. Okay, so we are on to agenda item number 21, the Workforce Transformation Strategic Initiative update, which I'm really excited about. So, Mr. Burke, take it away.
Sounds good. And I'm going to turn this over very quickly to Mark Sedke, who's our Vice President of Human Capital. This is part of our ongoing commitment to the board and to the public to come back with our 5 strategic initiatives. And the 5th strategic initiative is around our workforce transformation initiative. And it's about how do we begin to prepare our workforce for the future. And this has been an interesting year to begin this workforce transformation strategic initiative in a time where we're really seeing workforces change and the manner in which we need to adapt, which will certainly have an impact as we think about this initiative. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Mark Sedke to introduce the initiative again, and then to introduce Mikkel Pender. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. I appreciate that. You know, the kind of work we do today is radically different than the work we did even 20 years ago. OPPD has to adapt and change to meet evolving workplace strategies and drive continued growth. This strategic initiative, Workforce Transformation, is the rethinking of our culture, our employees' experience, and the skill sets needed for our future work. While some of our work today remains structured and process-oriented, other work has been automated or outsourced. The work we need to accomplish is growing to be more unstructured, complex, and highly collaborative. Because of this, our employees must be creative problem solvers. Some of our most experienced and skilled workers are heading to retirement, and our workplace must be appealing to younger generations seeking work-life balance, seamless technology, and inspiring workspaces. We may also need to seek candidates from a broader geographic area, creating a virtual and distributed workforce. In order to attract and retain the best talent, continue to innovate, and move OPPD into the future we envision, we must have a plan for our workforce to adapt. That is the focus of this strategic initiative. And I am fortunate to be able to introduce Mikkel Pender, our Director of Total Rewards, who is leading this effort and will provide an update on this initiative. Mikkel.
and thank you, Directors Gay and McGuire, for your service. SMT members, members of the public, good evening. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon. And where do you actually begin with workforce transformation and communicating that to you? So I think it was earlier in May that you started receiving updates from my colleagues about the strategic initiatives that we're embarking upon in order to prepare OPPD to become the utility of the future. Mo? So I've decided to frame the discussion in a way that will hopefully evoke some questions within you, as well as provide us with what I think is an adequate amount of information to whet your appetites until I come to you again in a few months to give you an update. And so we will look at the why, what is the need for this strategic initiative, examine the what by providing a brief overview, and then addressing the how. How are we going to approach this work? So the goal of this discussion really is to introduce to some of you or reintroduce to others the Workforce Transformation Strategic Initiative. Mo. And where do we begin? Yes, I figured we'd start at the beginning, and you should have, or you may remember seeing this diagram before. Scott Foch, our VP of Corporate Strategy and Governance, he brought this to you back in May of this year, and he introduced this as the framework or representation of Strategic Vision 2050. And he said that this was something that the leadership team was definitely focusing on, and he went through this diagram. I just wanted to highlight here that the workforce appears not once but twice on this diagram, and that's for very good reason. This demonstrates, I believe, the importance that we give the workforce in the work that needs to be done, clearly. So I think that us placing the workforce as a thoughtful and deliberate part of the strategy was an excellent idea on the part of the leadership team. Next, Mo. So I've heard it said time and time again, I've heard it said here tonight that our business is changing. Yes, it is changing. Not only is our business changing in terms of our company, but our industry is changing as well. And I like to say actually even bigger than that. If we think more globally, we can definitely say that the world is changing. And so we know what is happening in the utility industry, but we also identify that we are not just compared to other utilities. So that's not the reality of our situation. We are now being compared to the Amazons of the world. So new technologies that our customers are now experiencing makes it almost impossible for us not to evolve. I often say that I can't even imagine a world where 10 to 20 years from now, my daughter would be okay with having to call someone to find out what's going on in her life, what's going on with an account or some other type of business transaction, because fortunately or unfortunately, she already thinks in swipes and scrolls, which I've also said, Alexa and Siri are almost making those outdated as well. So what we are doing in completing this work is continuing to make ourselves relevant. Because we want to stay relevant or we have to stay relevant, it's important that we have to change. But looking at the diagram we have here in front of us, we've highlighted 4 areas where we know the business is changing and that we are going to adapt to. So first, And you've heard this again back in May when Jeremy Bowers came to you. We spoke of the changing generation landscape. We know that that's changing. We know that customer expectations are changing. As a matter of fact, they are too, becoming more pronounced. And then there is a greater demand that's going to be put on us because of the proliferation of electric vehicles and, of course, technological advances. So at one point in time, people were just interested in keeping the refrigerator going and literally lights on. And now every house has an abundance of electrical devices, and all companies as well. They have an abundance of things that require our services. That is augmented with the always present threat of cyber attacks that makes it necessary for us to update our aging infrastructure. Last month, Steve Brown shared with you that we must create a technology base that is sustainable and that promotes customer and employee confidence. Next page, Mo. So speaking of employee confidence, we too are obligated to build a workplace that will foster that same level of confidence that our employees want to see in the technology that they get to use. And so with that, we have a vision for OPPD from a customer's perspective. And that vision really reflects what we think these employees will see, feel, and hear relative to their being appreciated in this industry, in this company by our leadership and by others. We see ourselves as agile. We're an agile company where we're able to move quickly and easily, and we can respond to the ever-changing demands that are put before us. And we see ourselves as an environment that promotes continuous learning so that we are always current on our knowledge and skills. We see ourselves as having an engaged workforce, employees who have meaningful relationships in and with OPPD. We see ourselves as an inclusive culture where all employees feel that they belong. And the combination of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we hope to actually culminate into a wholesome workplace, a workplace that exemplifies our core value of caring about each other and continues in this family-like atmosphere. Next, Mo. And so with that, I think this shows where workforce transformation lies relative to all the other strategic initiatives. Workforce transformation is structured and is poised to be the foundation or a great support for the other initiatives. So in order for us to get to our decarbonization goal of 100% net carbon by 2050, we're going to need people. For us to engage our customers for the future, we're going to need our people. For us to update and modernize our grid, we will need our people. And of course, our technology platform is going to be built by and maintained by our people. So here we know and recognize the importance of our workforce, and workforce transformation merely reinforces that. So everything that I've described or explained thus far really addresses the why. Why are we even doing this work? Let's now turn our attention to the what of workforce transformation. Next page, please. This board has given us SD8, employee relations, and SB8 mandates us to do a number of things. I've highlighted 3 of those. We have been asked to develop and maintain a diverse and inclusive workplace. We have been mandated to establish a goal that's going to help us achieve top quartile performance in employee engagement, and we are to engage our workforce in personal and professional development. Those 3 mandates or 3 tenets points us strategically to our culture, the employee experience, and digital dexterity. I know there are lots of questions about those. We call those our 3 pillars, the 3 pillars of workforce transformation. And it's my pleasure now to discuss those, to give an overview of those. Next page, please. So SBA points us to, again, digital dexterity, culture, and the employee experience. And the outer boxes actually describe for us or list some of the things that will be covered in the work that we're going to do. Mark already spoke about the need for us to have a knowledgeable and skilled employee base, and that is what digital dexterity is about and what we will be addressing. The culture, some of the things we will address from that vantage point will be around making sure that we are comfortable with change, that we are inclusive, and that we maintain psychological safety. The employee experience, we'll be looking at, examining, assessing phases of employment. So that speaks to the group of touch points that our employees have with us from pre-recruitment or during the recruiting process all the way through to retirement. Mobility and modernization. Steve Brown brought that to your attention as well last month. And as you can see, that is the exact connection point for us, particularly as it relates to the employee experience. So Steve spoke about mobility from the vantage point of customers being able to gather information about our services using technology. The same thing applies to our employees. And just as an example of the intricacies or the importance of this tenet or this point here, I'd like to inform the board, in case you didn't know, that we are in some cases still using a lot of paper. And in other cases, because we don't always have the technology that we need in the field, that sometimes hinders the information, the necessary information being uploaded so that customers have it at their fingertips. So that is the importance too of us having that experience or that technology for the employees. But through mobility and modernization, we expect that the employees themselves will have just as improved an experience as the customers do. Stepping back a bit, looking at culture, I just want to touch for a minute on psychological safety. OPPD is known for safety within our culture. As a matter of fact, we were talking about it today and saying safety is already built into the culture of OPPD. Second to none, no doubt. We're all about safety. So we need to extend that aspect or those aspects of safety, physical safety as we know it, to psychological safety. And that really refers more so to this idea that employees can respectfully voice an opinion without threat or any feeling of retribution, harm, or anything of that nature. So again, these are some of the things. This is just a sample of some of the areas that we'll be covering in this workforce transformation strategic initiative. Next page, Mo. what is the end game for us? Ultimately, what is it that we're trying to do? So what we're trying to do, or the goal for us, really is to develop a 10-year roadmap. And that roadmap is ultimately to help us to do three things. It is to develop a framework to ensure that our workforce is in fact ready for the changes that's related to this developing operations model that we have. We know that power with purpose is already here, but we know that decarbonization is on the way. That is going to affect some of our employees or all of us in one way or another. And so we have to be ready for that change. We are to support the evolution again of OPPD as the utility of the future. And we want to make and ensure that our position as an employer of choice, not only here in Omaha, but in the region at the very least, is secured. And the next question that will come about naturally is, how will we get there? What are we going to do? And that's what I'll be addressing for you next. The how. How will we do this? Next page, please. Our intention is to use what I am calling the bridge approach. And this isn't anything that's very novel. However, for us, it's going to be extremely powerful. So what workforce transformation is it's a bridge. It's a bridge that connects the here and now to the vision that we described to you earlier. And so we are going to have a defined future state. We will assess our current state, and then workforce transformation, this work is going to fill those gaps. Now, I often at this point hasten to say that there is some work that's being done already relative to the things that we've outlined that we're going to do, some of those areas. So as an example, we have Crew Leader University going on, which is going to help prepare, in particular, some of our field employees as well as others for what is to come. There is a diversity and inclusion strategic plan that is already in place. So in some instances, we are bringing what may currently be seen or viewed, even if it's just perception, as desperate pieces of work. We're bringing them together under one umbrella and making sure that everything is pointing to one North Star. So for us, this work is all about how do we fill the gaps, whether we are bringing in work that's already in progress, or we're looking at things that may have started already and we need to augment or supplement what has been done. And then, of course, there's some work that has not been started yet. So we are going to, our intention is to run the gamut relative to, again, the areas that I showed you, as well as some others, to in fact, perform the output for this strategic initiative. Next page, please, Mo. Here, you're looking at the team. And our team, relative to the other strategic initiatives, is relatively small. However, we think that we have the right group in place to help us do what needs to be done. This is a cross-functional team of employees that's representing diverse experiences. They come to us from almost every business unit, and they will help to shape the results. They'll help us in that way. We have a team of advisors, and in addition to the advisors, we are going to be, of course, using a whole lot of people. And we have to go out to the business and get information from the employees as well. We are also in the process of securing a consultant who will be helping us to do this work. And we are very, very confident that, again, this is the right team in place at the right time. Next page, please. From a timeline perspective, we have 4 phases. The first phase is initiation, which looks at charter approval all the way down to getting the core team aligned. We then move next year, starting next month actually, into the planning phase. There's the execution phase where we actually put the 10-year plan together, after which we will move on to implementation. And implementation for us definitely involves monitoring and modifying as necessary. Next page. This page merely shows where we are in the process. So we have completed the charter process, and I understand that you have access to that charter document already. So you can look at that at your leisure. We have selected the core team, and where we are right now is where those orange arrows are pointing. We are in the midst of selecting the consultant and also getting the core team aligned. So just giving them information that's out there, and we intend to move on. Right now, based on our initial timeline, we are on track. And my expectation is that in January of 2021, we will be moving to the detailed project plan phase. So we'll be getting into planning come next month. I've heard you ask several times now, when will the board be receiving updates? And my response is going to be consistent with my colleagues who preceded me in sharing information with you about these initiatives. It's going to be shaped by the SMT, but my expectation is that it will be during some milestone. And so we'll be working with the SMT to determine when that will happen. Next page, please. And so we are truly at the point where if we do what we say we will do, then this vision that we have will truly become our reality. And so everything else, barring everything else, I think that the key takeaways here are these 3 points. First and foremost, workforce transformation, the strategic initiative, is the answer to the question around the people's needs during this climate of lots of change. Secondly, this strategic initiative comes directly from SB8 and the mandate that this board has given to us. And finally, without wanting to sound, or I don't need to sound like an alarmist, but we also know that if we're not advancing, we're retreating. And so it is for those reasons that this work is not only necessary and important, but it's going to be vital to us getting all the other things done that we need to get done. It's been my pleasure to be here with you tonight. And with that, I'll turn things back over to Mark.
Thank you, Mikkel. And I know the hour is late, but if the board has any questions, we'll be happy to address those.
I see Director Yoder's hand up, and Director Kavanaugh, your hand up is up as well. So Director Yoder, go ahead. You go first, please.
Sure, thank you. I think this is vital work, and I'm very happy to see it. I'm not sure it tees up off of this presentation, but it's certainly part of the consideration. So I'm excited about what I see here and how this all works together. And I'm an old guy, but I know you want to bring on young people to fill the need. What's that pipeline look like, and how does this improve your position for attracting them? It looks good to me.
Excellent question, Director Yoder. From the perspective of the employee experience, I mentioned phases of employment, looking from the beginning, from the recruiting process all the way through. So what you are talking about seems to be addressing that. Right now, we know that a few things are happening. There is a vibrant, what is coined or called a gig economy. We have to ask lots of questions. How is that going to affect us? In particular, we are proud of the fact that COVID-19 has tested our agility, and we think that we have passed. So now, and Mark mentioned this earlier, we've identified with having 900 employees working at home, approximately 900 employees working at home or working remotely, that could be a possibility for the future. So for us, I think there are more questions than answers at this point, but do know that that is something that we definitely plan to address. And again, we have to be a little predictive in terms of what we think is going to happen or where the economy is going relative to employees. Additionally, and I've said this as well, employees are predominantly or in some cases attached to employers by virtue of the fact that they have health plans. So even if something, let's say, mysteriously happened in that space, that's also something for consideration as to how then would you go about attracting the right types of employees, the best employees that we can afford. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Ms. Cinder. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It seems like a bit of a tension, a chicken and egg question, but I really, like I said, this is looking good.
Okay, Director Yoder, thank you. Director Williams, I believe, has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks very much, and I appreciate the presentation. Just a couple quick things. From the pillars, I'm glad to see the idea that we are focused on making sure that we are comfortable with change. And then from the reality that we look forward to in the future, the idea of a continuous learning environment. I feel those two work well together. And as we've seen over the last couple of years, and as we've talked about numerous times, understanding that things are shifting and they will continue to shift whether we are ready or not. So I'm very pleased to see that our workforce strategic initiative is focused on understanding that change is happening and that we need to be a part of that and that we need to work on, as was mentioned, the psychological safety for our employees as we recognize the future might be different than we might have previously thought, but it can still be a successful and maybe hopefully even an even more successful future. So again, thanks very much for the presentation. I look forward to seeing how this continues to develop over the next couple months. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Williams. Other directors? I don't see any hands. I'll just offer a couple quick thoughts. I want to thread on what Director Williams just talked about in terms of the transformation. We've used the word transformation in this meeting, I think, a handful of times now, so let's use it again. There's no question that that's happening. And what I want to reinforce is the important work that we do to help people grow, full stop. So not just into a position, but, there have been and there will continue to be situations where the work changes and it may not be a fit for people anymore. And that's okay because they're continuing to grow and evolve as the organization does. And just like, two people perhaps grow apart, sometimes organizations and people grow apart. Not saying we're trying to push anybody out. I'm just simply saying I like the position that this organization takes in helping people find what they can and really should be doing with their lives, right? So, and when it comes time for them to leave the organization, do something different, we're there to support them in any way that we can in doing that. So I want to reinforce that good work and make sure that it continues into the future. Two more things real quick. Mikkel, thank you for tying this to SD8. As a director, that really helps me understand the importance of strategic directives. And then finally, you talked about the plan, the monitor and modify. I can't help but imagine that this is one that, will require pretty consistent modification as decarbonization goes. Well, I mean, we're just going to learn so much as we go through this that modification, it needs to be living and breathing, right? So I appreciated that comment as well. Okay, I'm complete. Any other directors have comments before we move on to the president's report? I'm seeing head shakes. Okay, well done. This is great. We look forward to hearing updates sometime next year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mikkel.
Yeah, well done. Okay, Mr. Burke, we're up for the president's report, sir.
Very good. I'm going to kind of move through this president's report a little bit, and we have a little special kind of year-end video we'd like to share with you. Last year when the board and the senior management team got together, we talked about all the different things that went on, and so now we put that into a video since we're not going to get together after this board meeting, and so it's a great compilation of just wonderful things that have occurred. But let's talk about the November work that kind of went on and our activity. A little bit about baseload generation. Most of the activity that went on is really due to what's going on in the marketplace right now. Nebraska City 1 operated the full month of November. Unit 2 did have one outage that impacted its capacity factor. Unit 4 and 5, Unit 4 was under a planned outage to do some work that we deferred from the spring of 2020, primarily due to COVID kind of response and the activity that was going on at that time. And then unit number 5 also was in a planned outage as well, and that kind of speaks to some of their capacity factor related work. The board did have a review of some of the decommissioning activities by Mr. Edom, and because of Mary Fisher was not able to attend on Tuesday, and the progress that's going on there and the work that's going on. That team is doing some amazing things as well. On our peaking generation, again, very little use of our peaking generation, primarily due to the mild weather that we've seen, really across the whole region, and really not a lot of changes. Just to remind the board and the public, North Omaha units 1, 2, and 3 that are on natural gas, we do not use those during the winter time. Primarily because of natural gas capacity capabilities at those units. And so we'll move through our peaking units, both at Cass County and Sarpy County during the winter as well, as we need them for system reliability and resiliency. Our renewables for the month of November, renewable energy contributed to 44% of OPPD's retail energy sales. Wind capacity factor was at 48%. And we had, in that month, depending on the wind farms, we had capacity factors in the 20% and capacity factors almost in the 60%. So pretty significant changes around those. But overall, for the month of November, we had a capacity factor of 48%. And our solar, on our community solar capacity factor for the month was 15%. And year-to-date was 22. So year-to-date on our renewable energy, it contributed to 38% of our retail sales. Let's see, the capacity factor was at 49%. And as we said in here, year-to-date, our community solar was 22%. All important items as part of our energy portfolio. The two items we have on our Honor Our Community is really a couple of things our Latino Society of OPPD have put together. They've been really, along with our OPPD Women's Network, our own ERGs, have done some amazing work in the community. And our Latino Society of OPPD really developed an opportunity where they really wanted to help out in the community. And so they developed through an already scholarship foundation, the Barrientos Scholarship Foundation, the opportunity to support Latino students in high school and college. And so they had a goal of raising $2,500, and this organization raised $5,000 for 2 scholarships that they will have in 2021 to support Latino students both in high school and in college. And so great opportunity. They were able to sell back vacation. They were able to do a number of different things to raise money to help this cause of this employee resource group. And speaking of the work that Mikkel is doing in that workforce transformation, engaging our workforce in getting involved in the community is going to be one of those pillars that we think is important for our core values and for our ongoing mission. And then the OPPD Women's Network, because of the increasing activity across our healthcare systems, our OPPD's Women Network raised over and gathered over 1,600 different items to support area hospitals, nurses, doctors, health professionals across the work that they're doing to fight COVID-19 and support COVID patients. And so amazing work that they're doing. Another one of our strong and many ERGs supporting the community. And then relative also to honoring our community is Carter Lake, which we also serve, even though it's an Iowa city, created a winter festival and a lighting ceremony that OPPD participated in as one of the major sponsors, where they had a drive-by event where Santa was there with his helpers giving out gifts, socially distancing and protecting themselves in the parking lot at City Hall at Carter Lake. For children 12 years and under, there was a coloring contest, letters to Santa, and a variety of other collection for donations for senior baskets for the senior community in Carter Lake. This was the last year was the first year with 75 in attendance, and this year, even during the COVID opportunity where people were required to dress appropriately, there was over 170 people in attendance, and we got some raving comments from the community on our work and our support of that initiative in the community. And then, like we do every month, we talk about safety. This will be my second to the last slide. Jimmy Dobbs was a lineman who died on May 4th, 1988, resulting from electrocution that occurred while he was relocating a power line for a highway project right near Ashland, Nebraska, along Highway 6. He was 40 years old. He had been with OPPD for 14 years at the time of his death, and he was survived by his wife, Dale Ann, and daughters Anne Marie and Carolyn, and his mother, 2 brothers, and 3 sisters. So just a great example of our ongoing commitment and remembrance of the people that had given their life on the line of service and serving to our customer owners here at OPPD. And finally, I know the board did their recognition, and it's an opportunity for me on behalf of the senior team and the employees of OPPD to recognize a couple of our departing board members. So Tim Gay, who's been with OPPD as a board member for 7 years. You know, Tim, I just want to thank you very much for your always challenging us and always critical thinking around things that we need to do better and to engage us on those kinds of activities. You've been a wonderful board member. We really appreciate that. As a fellow Sarpy Countian, you know, you've been very energizing in the community and involved in the community, and you've gathered OPPD and participating in a number of different ways. But your active involvement in the work that we did around our transmission, La Vista transmission project, our Sarpy County project, expansion project on the transmission, our substation down around Platteview Road, are all just examples of how you engaged in making sure the customer owners of OPPD, and specifically those within your district, were served appropriately. So, you know, I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to excellence around this board. And from myself and the senior team, we greatly appreciate the great leadership and support that you've given us. Ann McGuire, you know, you've been through my whole career. Matter of fact, I think you hired me twice. So, thanks for doing that. It's been a great opportunity for me to serve with you, for you being on the board for 24 years. You've been, you know, an OPPD engaging board member longer than I've been an employee. And so greatly appreciate that. We've been through some interesting things together, whether it would be snowstorms of October 26th of 1997 to multiple floods, multiple major storms, but all the changes that went on, all the times that you and Director Gay had to make very, very tough decisions on behalf of us moving this organization forward. And so we really appreciate all of your efforts, your deep understanding of this business. Both of you really got to understand this business, and you were both feet in and fully engaged in understanding what we needed to do and what we were doing to make this service that we provided the community so valuable. And so I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your ongoing dialogue and your counsel to not only me, but the senior team. And on behalf of us, we want to say thank you very much. Congratulations on your wonderful legacy of service that you provided OPPD and our employees at OPPD. And obviously you see them with pictures where they're holding the mini turbines that our employees created. And what a better remembrance is to give you something created by the hands and the minds of the people that do just amazing work here at OPPD. So Ann and Tim, thank you again for your service. And the only thing I'm regretting is that you still have my cell number. So my guess is you will always call when you need to call, and we'll always be here to help you continually serve our customer owners. So thank you very much, and congratulations. So
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, very good. So thank you. Yes, thank you. And just to give you an idea on what this year was like, our corporate communications team, along with our senior team and other employees across the district, put together this amazing video. Now, the only problem about this is that those customers that have called in, you may not be able to hear or see this. So this is the challenge when we try to run videos on our current technology. Kate Brown's kind of working on that, so you all know that. But it's a valuable video that will be shown on our website so people can come back and look at it. But we want to make sure we end the night, at least from the management side, sharing a little bit about all the accomplishments that occurred in 2020. So Mo Hinders, I'm going to let you hit the button and we'll go on.
Currently, OPPD has cable replacement projects happening in the rural areas, and we have them happening in the metro areas. And we've replaced over 300 miles of cable in the past 3 years.
There are several reasons why cable needs to be replaced. We have a group that's called our asset management team, and they go and find these segments of cable that was damaged by a fault or is old due to the age of the neighborhood. And we go in and replace segments of cable at a time.
You know, we made it through a year with great uncertainty. You know, it started like a normal year. We had folks doing what they would normally do within Energy Plaza, within our power plants, our centers. We began our outages for our production facilities. But then around March, we had 900 people go home. We also had 900 people that stayed working in power plants and in centers and in the field and assisting customers. So we've done some amazing things under the greatest level of uncertainty in 2020. And we did all of this together in conditions that we've never expected or even experienced. And so what an amazing year we have had. And it's been difficult. I know people have experienced that, but we found new ways to collaborate to make sure that we get this work done. And we kept our commitment to providing affordable, reliable, environmentally sensitive energy to our customers, and we did it safely, with clarity, connection, and care. I'm proud of what we've accomplished in 2020, as difficult and as hard as it has been. And I am thankful to lead such an incredibly dedicated group of employees in the work that we do, serving our customer owners here in Eastern Nebraska. So on behalf of myself and the senior management team and our board of directors, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your efforts in 2020. Thank you for trudging through some of the mud in these difficult times, but thank you for that commitment. And thank you for the honor that you have in this industry. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you for allowing us to share a little bit of our accomplishments in 2020 here. This will be going out to our employees early next week as we prepare for the holiday season. And on behalf of the senior management team, we just want to wish all of you a wonderful holiday season. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And not to walk all over BL5, which we just updated, but on behalf of the board, thanks to you and for the entire team for, as you said, trudging through the mud through one of the most difficult years I can imagine we'll have in a very, very long time, I hope. Really amazing to look at the list of accomplishments and the things that were done. So well done to all involved. Very impressive. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we now have time for public comment on any matters of district business. I see 3 hands raised already, familiar names, so I'm just going to go ahead and start at the top. Let's go ahead and unmute John Pollock. John, name and address, please.
John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street, Omaha. I want to thank again the departing board members for their service. I was a little disappointed to not see any numbers on the number of people who might be in trouble come the new year as far as utility payments and what's been going on with that. We've all had a hard year, but there are people that are having it a lot harder in terms of possibly facing a shutoff in the new year. And briefly on the weather, we have a split jet stream. We've got one piece to the north of us, another piece to the south of us. Every once in a while, we might get a little moisture out of that southern stream, such as a couple days. Doesn't look like anything too big for our area, although southeast Nebraska could pick up a few inches of snow. Nothing in the way of freezing rain, fortunately. And the wild card is that northern jet stream, which is holding the storm track up near the Canadian border for now. If that jet stream weakens, we're going to get a powerful Arctic surge, but there's no indication of that happening yet. It's keeping the polar air bottled up in eastern Canada for the moment. So that's it on mine. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And with respect to the comment regarding customers in the first part of the new year, not sure if you were able to attend our Tuesday meeting, but we had another extensive update on the customer first solutions work that we're doing, and know that we're very mindful of what might change come the new year. So, but thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Corbin, please, name and address.
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street. First, I want to join the chorus in thanking Directors Gay and McGuire for their service and for their dedication over the years. On various occasions, I've been able to meet either with small groups or one-to-one with each of them. And I'm hoping that with all of the knowledge and expertise that you've gained over the years, that you will continue advocating for renewable energy beyond your being directors for OPPD. So thank you very much. Also, just want to thank the statements that were made earlier, acknowledging that you have received the emails that people sent in about SD13, and that sorry about that, and SD13, and that they were received and that they were read. So thank you. And Happy New Year and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Corbin. And also hand up for the Mendenhall-Bavolka household.
Hi, Francis Mendenhall, 3715 Hamilton. And I noticed that the wind capacity factor looked nice and high, 48%. And congratulations and keep up the good work. Okay, and?
Okay, this is Alan Bavolka, 3719 Hamilton. I did want to say that I thought that workforce presentation was excellent, and I'm glad to see that OPPD is preparing their workforce for the kind of work that is obviously coming up with huge changes in the utility industry. I had an unrelated question about the meeting format here. I'm in through Cisco WebEx, and I can see us as attendees, but can't see anyone else. And I'm wondering if I'm failing to use the product appropriately, or if that's just a feature of the way this works. Yeah, it would be nice in a public meeting to see who shows up as the public. All right, thank you very much.
Alan, that's a great comment. That's part of the reason why at the beginning of the meeting we read who generally is in attendance, but we'll take that comment back and talk with and see what options we have for making who is in attendance a little bit clearer. So I appreciate that comment, Alan.
Thanks. That's all.
Okay, I don't see any more hands up. Brent, do we have any requests in the chat?
Request, Chair Moody.
Okay, and I did commit to reading this comment from Nancy Meyer that some of you have seen in the chat, so I'm going to do that now. It says, quote, I'd like to remind everyone to take the opportunity to enjoy a rare look at the northern lights, which are supposed to be visible all across Nebraska between 9 a.m. and 1 a.m. I assume that's 9 p.m. 9 a.m. and 1 a.m. tonight. Watch and marvel how Mother Nature keeps the lights on for all of us. So I had no idea, so I appreciate that comment because now I've got something to do tonight. Okay, Brett, one last check for comments. I don't see any hands.
I have no additional comments, Chair Moody.
Very good. Okay, that concludes our meeting. Final round of applause for our two outgoing directors. Well done, Director McGuire, Director Gay. You will very much both be missed. You've done a wonderful job, and I can't wait to track you down so I can shake your hands and we'll enjoy.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll be listening. I'll be listening in once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Well, again, as Tim said, you've got my phone number, so I look forward to those texts during the meeting.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Right.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful holiday. We'll see you in 2021.
Bye-bye.